Welcome to Nights of Roleplay, an adventuring podcast. This is an actual play Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Royalty-free music provided by Kevin MacLeod, Michael Gelfie Studios, Plate Mill Games, and Tabletop Audio. And now, to adventure. Hello listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode of Nights of Roleplay. I'm DM Chris. This session is being recorded over Zoom. This is the first adventure for my homebrew campaign called Dragonbirth, which takes place in my homebrew campaign setting called Harkenrath. I recorded an intro to Harkenrath in my campaign. Please enjoy the following intro. The beginning of all things. The burgeoning. Before time began, there was a black void, inside of which was the flow of magic. It was an ever-changing mass of energy, sometimes as small as a river pebble, other times the size of many worlds. It was formless, shapeless, and without purpose. Then one day, part of the flow coalesced. It formed a solid mass in the shape of a sphere. The energy from the flow fed the sphere, which grew until the first world was born. The flow created the land and the sea, the mountains and the rivers. It created the plant life and all the creatures that would live on that world. Once that world was created, some of the flow remained, tightly woven into the fabric of all things. This event gave the flow meaning and purpose, and it created many more worlds. Then the flow created stars, and combined them with groups of worlds to form solar systems and galaxies. The void became the universe. The Gathering. On worlds containing intelligent creatures, they began to gather together to form small groups. Those groups became tribes. Tribes became villages. Villages became towns. Towns became cities. Civilization was born. As civilization grew, its greatest thinkers gave rise to many great inventions. Wood was used to make carts and wagons, then shelters and homes. Fire was used to cook food and later to forge steel. Steel was used to make armor and weapons. Oil was used to fuel lanterns, and later as a siege weapon. Animals were domesticated, and agriculture was developed. The Enlightenment. The intelligent species that populated many worlds wanted their lives to have a deeper meaning. They looked for something in the universe greater than themselves. They looked for guidance from the unknown. The flow responded and created the gods, as well as many powerful entities possessing godlike abilities. Religions grew around the gods, and pantheons formed. Some powerful entities became patrons for those seeking knowledge and power. Gods and patrons granted the use of magic to their followers, allowing them to use the flow in their names. Other species discovered the flow of magic through diligent study, and dedicated their lives to unlocking its secrets and documenting their findings in books. Others learned to manipulate the flow using only the power of thought. The world of Harkenrath. The Platinum Age. The world of Harkenrath began its life made from pure liquid platinum. As it solidified into a sphere, channels remained on its surface, channels where rivers of liquid metal flowed. Over many millennia, crystals formed in the metal surface of Harkenrath. The liquid metal rivers carried deposits of crystals through its metal lands and into multicolored liquid metal oceans made up of metals such as gold, silver, and copper. Flora and fauna were made of organic metal. The entire world shined with a dazzling brilliance. The Colossi. During the Platinum Age, the only humanoid species to exist on Harkenrath were the Colossi. They were gigantic creatures made of metals such as gold, silver, copper, and bronze. Colossi made from the same type of metal often shared similar traits, such as personality quirks, drives, motivations, and general outlooks on life, but there were many examples of individuals who did not conform to these stereotypes. The Colossi lived in enormous metal cities that covered almost the entire surface of Harkenrath. The Colossi were peaceful by nature and never warred with each other. They lived on Harkenrath for many thousands of years, until the Reformation. The Reformation. Harkenrath has 3 moons. In the past, it had only one. The event that caused the change is known as the Reformation. For reasons that are still unknown, the moon reformed into 3 moons, which changed the flow of magic, thereby changing the world of Harkenrath in countless ways. Scholars estimate the Reformation took place over a period of several thousand years. In the early part of the Reformation, the Platinum landscape became twisted and bent. The liquid metal rivers and oceans boiled. The sky rained acid. The most tragic change was the destruction of the Colossi and the other metallic flora and fauna that existed at the time. Many were destroyed by acid rain, some fell to pieces, others became a solid mass, and some spontaneously rusted into nothingness. During the latter part of the Reformation, organic material came into existence. Most of the metal surface of Harkenrath was slowly transformed into rock and soil. Organic flora and fauna came into existence and spread quickly. The Platinum world turned into grasslands, swamps, forests, jungles, deserts, and mountains. The liquid metal rivers and oceans turned into water. Intelligent organic humanoids came into existence and quickly joined together to create their own civilizations. Dragonbirth. Tens of thousands of years after civilizations of organic creatures began to spread across the surface of Harkenrath, the chromatic dragons appeared. Along with the dragons came the dragonborn species, all of whom are also chromatic. Chromatic dragons are the only type of dragon that exist in Harkenrath. The recorded history of Harkenrath starts in the year 1 AD, which means after dragons. The time before is known as BD, or before dragons. Harkenrath's calendar has 12 months, each one named after one of the first 12 dragons to appear in Harkenrath. Each month has 4 weeks, weeks have 7 days, and days have 24 hours. A calendar year is 336 days. The names of the months are Armathrax, Basanthor, Chargaroth, Dayanex, Amonarch, Gormanon, Helishar, Iazel, Chrysalith, Surmareth, Valerix, and Zatarish. It is said that an evil five-headed dragon named Tiamat exists, and that she is the queen of the chromatic dragons. Her existence, however, has never been confirmed. Many of the earliest chromatic dragons were a menace to society, attacking towns and cities while looking for food and gathering valuables to fill their treasure hoards. On the many continents of Harkenrath, the humanoid species fought these dragons with magic and held them at bay. On the island continent of Iador, the attacks were stopped after the dragonborn species struck a deal with the 5 dragons who claimed Iador as their territory. The dragonborn promised that the humanoid species would pay a regular tribute to the dragons. As a result of this bargain, the dragonborn quickly became the ruling faction on Iador. They worship the dragons like gods. Most of the towns and cities on Iador now lie within the territory of a single chromatic dragon. Each territory is called a province. There are 5 provinces designated by a color name corresponding to the ruling dragon. The provinces are white, blue, black, red, and green. White province is covered in snow and ice. Blue province is a region of islands in a mostly landlocked ocean. Black province is swampland. Red province is covered by mountains, and green province is a lush forest. The provinces border the continent and extend inward from the ocean to the central city of Shakar. Shakar is sometimes referred to as the Granite City, since it is constructed on a massive shelf of granite. Many of Shakar's central structures are made from granite, while the remaining structures are usually built from stone or wood. The provinces collectively encircle Shakar, where Iador is ruled by a dragonborn council, sometimes referred to as the Council of Scales, or simply the Council. A dragonborn of each color sits on the council. Each dragonborn council member oversees the local government of the towns and cities that exist within the province of the dragon with which they share a color. At the end of each month, the council sends dragonborn enforcers to collect the tribute. The tribute is 20% of the earnings of all businesses and 10% of all wages earned by workers. Half of the tribute goes to the council. The other half goes into the hoard of the local dragon. In private, the residents in most provinces often refer to the tribute as the dragon tax. However, one must be careful that a dragonborn working for the council does not overhear the phrase being spoken, or they risk imprisonment. Throughout its history, the council has often been described as ruling with a heavy hand, with many of its members delighting in their perceived power. Many dragonborn citizens hold positions that answer directly to the council, and far too often these individuals view themselves as being in a similar position of power. However, many other dragonborn seek to live in peace and harmony with all the residents of Iador. Some dragonborn are enforcers, while many others hold a variety of command positions in the military force known as the Dower Guard. The Dower Guard spend most of their time as law enforcement in the various provinces, but they also routinely engage in combat exercises to sharpen their skills. The Dower Guard are called upon to defend the provinces against attacks from threats, such as hostile creatures from the mountains or nighttime raids by denizens from the Underdark. The local dragon will sometimes fend off threats as well, but only if the threat is substantial enough to catch its attention. Even with the difficulties relating to the rule of the dragonborn, life in the provinces offers a certain amount of safety from outside threats, and most citizens get along just fine. It is now the year 3252 AD. For more than 3,000 years, the dragons and the Dragonborn have ruled. In the last 2 centuries, the populace of Iador has grown increasingly frustrated with living under the rule of the Council of Scales and their dragon counterparts. In the last 20 years, riots have become more common. Dauerguard used to patrol the streets in pairs. Now they patrol in groups of 6. Unanswered crimes against citizens of Iador by power-hungry Dragonborn have increased. The situation is becoming more volatile with each passing year. And this is where our story begins. And we're back. Before we get into the adventure, I'd like to have each of the players describe your character, their race, class, appearance, etc. And after your description, I would like you to describe a defining or pivotal moment from your character's past by means of a flashback. And, if anybody is really not comfortable with that, that's okay. We can skip it. But if you're cool with it, I would love it if you could do that, because I'm not sure how much of the backstories I'll be able to fit in. So if your flashback is relevant to your backstory, it might give us some fun information about your characters. So let's see. Why don't we start with, let's see, who's in my top left is Greg. Greg, if you want to unmute yourself.
Figures it would be me.
I'm just starting in the top left and going around.
All right.
But why don't you just describe a little bit about your character, all the mechanical stuff, and then maybe give us a little bit of a flashback of a pivotal moment in your character's life.
Okay. I am playing Erebus Amtethys, and he is a Dragonborn. However, he started out as a half-elf, and he is a fighter, which is a very different class for me to play. So I'm looking forward to attack multiple times. He is a blue Dragonborn, which that happened via magical means. And he bears a scar on one of his eyes that is part of a consequence that he inherited in his transformation. So he had been wanting to basically feel the adventure bug. So once his transformation happened, he then therefore began adventuring in the wider world and experiencing different things than what he had growing up. So that is Erebus.
Okay. Cool. All right, so...
And flashback?
Oh, yeah. Did you want to
do that afterwards? After everyone introduces themselves.
Why don't we do it at the same time, just so that we kind of keep things in context?
Okay. So, I will do that. I remember it like it was yesterday. I had looked into the mirror, and the face I saw was different than my own. I saw a stranger that didn't feel familiar at all. I had blue skin now. That was new. I had these claws and teeth. New. The one thing that was remarkable, though, was in looking at myself in the mirror, my eyes felt the same, even though I didn't look the same. I could see myself somewhere deeper within the image of myself. I did, of course, smash the mirror. And who wouldn't have done such a thing, looking at themselves as kind of a monster now? But I was free now and was feeling I had never felt before. I didn't have to go back to a humdrum, horrible life. I could do and be whatever I wanted to be. As I went through the window, I didn't look back and haven't since. You can say that was the day Alistair died and Erebus was born. My name came from the streets on which I lived, a fitting way to start a new life. That was the start for me of adventuring far and wide, and up until this day, I could still look back on that moment as one that defined the character of who I am now.
Cool. Let's see. So let's go to that. That was very good, Greg. Let's head over to John. Why don't you tell us about your character and then give us a little bit of a flashback.
All right. I am playing probably the most vanilla character I've ever actually played, but none of you have ever actually experienced me playing a shorty before, which is always something that I enjoy. Because I am playing Andy Riverreed, the Lightfoot Halfling Bard. And so, Andy, he's a halfling, so of course he's short, brown-haired, kind of a youthful-looking halfling bard, who uses his youthful appearance much to his advantage. So eventually, when I get to the point, he is going to be playing a glamour bard. So his role in the party is going to be mostly, control, support, things like that. He's also going to be a little bit of a warlock too, which ties in much to what happened to Andy actually on his way into town at the start of our adventure. You see, Andy had been traveling for a couple of years now. He mostly just was wandering around as the usual wandering minstrel, wanting to see the world because Andy is a rather curious sort. And for a couple of years, he was, plying his trade, doing some odd jobs here and there to make a little bit of extra coin. But it was while he was walking through the woods on the way to town here that a sudden fog rolled in. And as he had managed to get himself hopelessly lost in the fog, a dryad suddenly kind of stepped out of the fog. And actually, let me bring that up. Sorry. I had notes here.
Checking notes.
Checking notes. Okay. As the dryad approached him, it spoke. It said, "These woods are dangerous, traveler, especially as night falls. Please come out of the fog and entertain me, and if you can, I might be inclined to help you." Well, of course, poor little Andy didn't really have much in the choice in the matter. He was already hopelessly lost. So he followed the poor dryad back to its tree and spent the night playing for the little whimsical creature. In fact, he spent the next 3 days and nights entertaining the poor dryad as it, I say poor dryad, as it danced and sang along with him. And after the third day, he basically passed out exhausted. Waking up at on a copse in the forest, he found that he had earned himself a little silver brooch that he now wears on his lapel, with a symbol of a little filigreed mirror. And on touching the brooch, he heard a voice in his head saying, "Well done, mortal. You have stayed off my boredom for a time. I am checking this. I am Venestra, and you may call on my power when you have need. Just know that if I ever get bored again, I just may call on you again too." And that is how poor little Andy got himself all wrapped up in some rather devious little deities.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, let's see, Sarah, if you wouldn't mind telling us about your race, class, all that good stuff, and then maybe a flashback of a pivotal moment for your character, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So my character is Aquila Moonstone, Aqua for short. She is a Shardling rogue, or she, I say loosely, as Shardlings, in my mind, probably aren't very recognizable as a particular gender.
That's probably true, yeah. And for the listeners, that is a race that I created for this campaign.
She is very almost translucent in color, kind of a opalescent, kind of ivory whitish in color. I don't imagine that she has an actual hair, more like shards coming out of her head, and violet eyes, almost like gemstones.
Nice.
That's about all I have for backstory at this moment, but I do have a pivotal moment.
Sure, sounds good.
I'm in the lab, the place of my own birth, and he is there. I've watched him grow over the course of the last 6 months. The samples they took from me were so small, but they started to grow so fast, and now I stand behind a foggy glass as my makers put him together. These seemingly lifeless pieces of myself suddenly come to life as I watch him come to life. My son. They don't even let me touch him, however. He's whisked away to where all of us go after our quote-unquote birth. As I stand here, still as stone, my melancholy is washed over my face. I must make this world a better place for him. He is me, though he doesn't even know me.
Cool. Very cool. If you could, later, if you could put any sort of backstory stuff on D&D Beyond so I can take a look at it, that sounds really cool. I'd like to read it and absorb it a little better. That's very cool. Okay, so Kate, why don't you give us some information about your character, class and race, and maybe a flashback of some pivotal moment in your character's life.
Sure. Okay, so I am playing Zetalia, or Z, Willow Tower. She is a root folk monk. So, I mean, appearance-wise, for those in the group, she is a 7-foot tall tree, basically. Trees don't wear very much clothing, although if you knew enough about town, you would see that she's wearing kind of like a sash shawl, very minimalist robe thing that identifies with a monastery that's in Shakar. And she has glowing green eyes along with being a tree. So, background, she grew up with the Rootfolk people in the forested province of Iador. Was not a typical patient, quiet, well-behaved tree, so got sent to the monastery because they thought that was going to whip her into shape. It didn't. So she ended up basically skipping out on classes, being the class clown and not really the best student, and eventually fell in with 3 other people from the monastery who were kind of these sages who like to hang out at bars a lot, but they were useful and capable, so the monastery had never kicked them out. So they kind of took her under her wing. So that kind of gets her to the point where she's at. So the flashback that she would have is this incredibly strong memory of being just like, reject from her people, not a good tree, not a good monk, in trouble with the monastery, not in good standing. So she went to a bar and got drunk and does what any angsty young adult would do when they're drunk at a bar, which is pick a fight with the whole bar. And, if you can picture Groot swinging big, long limbs everywhere, that was her. And she was getting increasingly angry. And these 3 sages, who she had never met before, showed up. There's, Dargan, the dragon folk, the big old giant Talos, the gargoyle, and Glamdring, the hill dwarf, little short stubby guy. And yet, all wearing the same robes from the place where she was training. And
when you say dragon folk, do you mean dragonborn?
Dragonborn. Sorry, I can't talk, and I
That's
can't
okay.
write either. It's
For the listeners,
in my notes.
Katie's playing a root folk, which is another custom race that I made
Yes.
for the campaign. Continue,
Yes.
honey.
So basically, these three very different characters all wearing the same shawl or robe from the monastery who stepped in on the fight. I basically told her that she was way too angry and not having enough fun. And as she got angrier and swung at them harder and harder and harder, they moved faster and faster. And somehow they were dodging all of her 15-foot tree limb blows and using her own blows against her. And when she finally collapsed on the floor, completely wiped out, they basically laughed and told her that life was too short to be that angry and to not have fun. And they offered to take her under their wing. So that is how she fell in with those three and started training as what's eventually going to be a drunken master monk.
This is going to be an interesting switch from your usual super serial characters.
Yep.
Okay. So thank you, everyone, for describing your characters and giving a flashback of a pivotal moment. So as our adventure begins, the date is Chargaroth 16th, 3252 AD. You are all located in the capital city of Shakar on the island continent of Iador. After receiving a mysterious note in your living quarters, you all went to Barton's Provisions at midnight. You are in a room with Barton and his daughter Ophelia. She has the same Dragonclaw birthmark that each of you have. Barton told you that she is the key to overthrowing the rule of the Dragonborn Council. Ophelia says, I had visions of each of you. I saw your Dragonclaw birthmarks and knew you were somehow important. I told my father where to find you, so he tracked your movements and left notes for you to meet us here. I have also been having visions of an excavated pit in White Province. This pit is carved from the ice, with narrow walkways leading down to a black metal surface with a crack in it. This place holds a great significance for reasons that are unclear to me. I believe there is an object of great power in this place, an object that is important in overthrowing the rule of the Dragonborn Council, but I don't know what the item is or what power it holds. So, adventurers, how do you respond?
Well, this sounds like the makings of another great little story for me to tell. So, do you know anything about where this pit might be located? I'd love to see it for myself. It looks fascinating.
Ophelia says, I can give you some loose directions, and I will be able to communicate with you telepathically. See, I have the ability to see things, and I have visions of things that are very important and things maybe to come. I'm still trying to understand. I've only had these abilities for a short time. And you all would probably guess she's about 20 years old. And she says, it's only been a couple of years since I've really started to have a lot of these abilities. And there is some sort of a connection with the Dragonclaw birthmarks that we all share that will allow me to I think it'll allow me to sort of sense you and possibly perceive things through you and communicate telepathically even over great distances. And she stops talking with her mouth, and you hear in your brain, she says, can you all hear me and understand me? And this is telepathically. So she says that in your minds. How do you respond to that telepathic communication?
Fascinating. I can absolutely hear you. So what else is it that you've seen? Did you say you can see through our senses? I hope you didn't see that thing last week with the no, never mind. What else have you seen? What kind of cool visions have you had? Anything having to do with us? Anything else having to do with the dragons? Anything having to do with the White Tower over? Yeah, the East Card. I've been kind of curious about that one.
Aquila just jumps back like, oh my god, why are you in my head?
Are you speaking out loud, Andy, or are you thinking back towards her?
Oh, I'm speaking aloud.
Okay.
Erebus says this one is going to be a talker, isn't he?
Ophelia says out loud. She says, "I've had like visions of like claws and wings and just sort of flashes of various things, and you all recognize that because you've all had those similar flashes in your brain, in your minds over time, recently.
I mean, claws and wings and various things, they seem quite normal considering this 6 foot tall rock is just staring down at this tiny thing that won't stop talking and singing and like you're quite frivolous, aren't you?
Just in the moment, my dear.
Okay. Well, moments are moments, aren't they?
Ophelia says, the excavated pit is in White Province, and if you head directly in to White Province, heading west, there's going to be 2 towns along your stop, and then you're going to head southwest from the second town, and I will be able to sense where you are in relation to this pit that has some kind of significance, the place where you need to go, and I will do my best to guide you through telepathy, because I believe that there's no limit to the distance in which I can communicate telepathically with people who have the birthmark.
Where do you get all this feeling?
Do you mean these imperfections that they told me I had in my crystals?
You're referring to Aqua's birthmark?
Yeah.
Which is sort of like carved into the crystal of your body?
Yeah.
She nods her head. Yes, that is what I'm referring to.
So have you met anybody else that has these birthmarks other than us? Where are you getting all this information that you think you can do all this really fascinating long-distance communication stuff like that? Is it just a feeling that you have, or you have actually tried to do it before?
Well, as I've said, I've had visions of all of you, and I've been able to see flashes of where you were at certain points in time. Sometimes I saw things through your eyes, sometimes I heard things through your ears, but I'm trying to gain control over these powers that are still relatively new to me.
Erebus is just standing in the corner with his arms folded. It's like, all of this is just very, very interesting.
Well, if a pretty maiden like yourself is looking over little me, I suppose that I can live with that for a little while. And besides, I don't think I've ever actually been to White Province yet. I've only kind of hung around mostly Green Province, but it'd be really so. Yeah, I'd be willing to go see if I can find this place. I mean, I think it'd be really fascinating to try to find that, see what's going on there. Right, let me go get my stuff.
Okay, so I mean, she gives you the names of the towns, and she gives you the bearing on which way to go. Like what is your preparation before you leave? I mean, you know that White Province, the provinces are white, blue, black, red, green, and the White Province is covered in snow and ice. You know that the White Dragon is the dragon that sort of presides over that area. And you know, John, you said that your character was from Green Province, which is largely forest. So based on what you know of White Province, how are you preparing before you leave? What kind of things are you doing?
I'm thinking cold weather clothing is the first obvious thing.
Yep.
Supplies.
What kind of distances are we talking? Like days of travel, things like that?
Approximately. Ophelia is guessing that it's going to be about 3 days of travel.
Okay, so so a week's worth of rations should be plenty of fine. And I think I've got that.
Oh, you had mentioned something about the potions, that we can only have a certain amount at a time.
No, you're talking about potions of healing?
Yes.
No, I had said in the session 0 that magic items, I was going to try to keep them pretty rare, but that you could still buy healing potions at some like shops and apothecaries. I just had said that like I wasn't going to allow you to buy like 10 at a time. You know,
Okay.
I wanted to
Limited
keep
quantity.
things. Yeah,
So if
yeah,
you get a
just-
couple, then that's fine.
Did I miss something? Did we have like a certain starting amount of money in our inventory as far as stuff like that, or no?
I mean, you have your starting gold and the 100
Yeah.
gold in the pouch.
Oh, that's right, 100 gold.
Yeah, 100 gold, which was from her father, from Barton. And
Okay.
I'm going to say that you each already have a healing potion, just a basic healing potion. You each already
Okay.
have one.
I will drop that in. Thank you. Okay.
Basic healing potion.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's
Potion
2d4
of
plus
healing.
2. I think is what it heals. But if you're using D&D Beyond, you can probably just look for potion of healing, and you should be able to find it and put it in your inventory.
Okay, potion of healing. That one's white and not green or blue or anything. Potion of healing. Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about with the colors, Greg.
Oh, like in D&D Beyond.
Oh, I don't know
White,
what it looks like.
green, blue, purple.
Yeah, there's different colors for potions that are like different types of.
Gotcha. All my players are on D&D Beyond, and I'm not.
I'm kind of half and half right now.
Okay, so you each have a potion of healing. You're gonna pick up some cold weather gear.
I will have to look up some price. I can look up the prices for that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to say that you each spend like a gold piece to get some cold weather gear, you know, like heavy wool cloak or something, you know, hoods, things like that.
It's an actual thing.
Is there something actually called cold weather gear?
There's clothing, cold weather. It costs 10 gold.
Oh, 10 gold. Okay.
Yeah.
I was catching your break, but okay, it's 10 gold. It's 10 gold for
Okay.
cold weather
No,
gear.
you cannot make this easy on us.
Hey, you just cost us 9 gold. My God.
Okay, so you each spend 10 gold on cold weather gear. Got it.
And
Okay.
put that in.
Let's see.
Okay.
Obviously, we've got 10 days of rations. So, does she know how many days journey it's going to be?
3.
3.
So 10 days should be enough for there and back.
Oh, and
With an extra day or
trees
two.
don't even need to eat or drink as long as they get enough sunlight every day. But we'll see.
Good, I'll take your rations. Okay, I'm also gonna grab a healer's kit, just in case, because I mean,
Okay.
I'll have a little bit of healing. Sometimes it may not be enough, so
Sure.
I think it's only 5 gold.
Okay.
Wonder if our rogue would want a climber's kit, just in case, because we are going someplace very icy.
I mean, if-
Sure, if you guys think I might need it.
I don't know. It's 25 gold though, so kind of expensive at this point. So up to you.
Monk will get one too. Why not?
Maybe, although maybe being a shardling, maybe you don't need one. You got spikes.
Makes her own climbing gear.
I don't think it works that way. I mean, I can make my own daggers, but I don't know if those work as climbing gear.
Be like Spider-Man, fling them out. Pew, 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 pew.
Once they leave my body for a certain amount of time, they disappear.
Oh,
Yeah, I can get a climber's kit.
I don't know. Do I need anything like that? I don't think I do.
I'll do a climber's kit. That'll still leave me with 80 gold.
Cool.
Uh,
All right. Are people ready to journey?
I think we can zoom.
Yeah. Are you counting ammo just to check for range things? Because I've got
No,
darts.
no, I don't really care about
Okay.
counting ammo.
Okay, I'm not gonna mess with buying more darts then. Fine. Alright.
Okay, so as you reach the border of Shikar and White Province, you feel an icy wind begin to blow. As you steel yourself and move forward, you encounter snowfall, starting in small amounts at first, but then larger amounts as you go deeper into White Province. Your first day of travel is uneventful, and you arrive at a small town as the sun begins to set. So, Sarah, I would like you
Yes.
to help me name this town. I have this idea that I want to try to incorporate into this campaign where I want to allow the players to try to contribute a little bit more to the world building. And this is one of the ideas that I had. So, Sarah, do you want to make up a name for this town? Something that you think might be appropriate for a town that is located in the snowy, icy area of White Province. What do you think that would be a good town name for? I'm going to write this down.
Hello, fantasynamegenerator.com. What?
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of Game of Thrones references to icy places.
Yeah, but I don't want to name it from something that's already an intellectual property.
I do forget those things.
Middle Shard Path.
Middle Shard Path.
Or how about just Middle Shard?
There we
Shard.
go.
Okay,
Yeah, keep it simple.
which is interesting because you're a shardling.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it's in the middle of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
so the town of Middle Shard is where you arrive at the end of your first day of travel. Cool. Let's see. So let's see. You what do you do once you get to this town? The sun is setting. You walk into town. Do you want to do anything in particular?
Is there an inn?
Find an inn with a tavern.
And a fire.
Look for an inn. Okay. All right. So again, as part of doing some different type of world building, I have a book called The Game Master's Fantasy Toolkit, which is made by Roll and Play Press. And it's just like what it sounds like, Roll and Play. It's this spiral-bound book that has all these random tables in it. And I have it open to a page that says Taverns and Inns, which looks like it's page 30. So, oh yes, and John has the Christmas gift I gave him, which allows him to roll randomly on things. But I'm going to start by seeing what inn you're going to be by rolling my Knights of Roleplay D20. So page 30, Roll and Play Press, the Game Master's Fantasy Toolkit. Let's see.
Let's not get a rundown structure, sir.
Oh, it's a D12 actually. Where's the D12? D12. Here we go. So come and stay at. First roll is 6. Oh boy.
We're outside.
No.
His table.
There is no room at the end.
Number 6 is ghouls, like the plural of ghoul.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
That's
Ooh.
not encouraging.
And then the second category is, oops, D12. Chris, how long have you played D&D?
Are we dying to get in?
Oh, God.
Okay, so
That was perfect.
Flagging
Come
you
on.
on that.
okay, so my second roll is the word sword. So you are staying at an inn called the Ghoul's Sword.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Okay with it.
Piratey.
I gotta write this stuff down.
They're killing for more customers.
It's creepy, but probably fun.
Yes.
A little edgy for my taste.
Okay, so you get
It's going to be one of those campaigns.
so you get rooms at the Ghoul's Sword Inn.
Well, since we haven't really come across too much on our travels, I guess I will just simply be starting with hobnobbing in the common room and making use of my entertainer background to be entertaining
Of course.
in exchange for a bit of room and board.
I'm getting some beer at the bar
Yes, Z is gonna be drinking.
Yes, along with Erebus.
I'm gonna
Surprise,
see if I can
surprise.
find anybody interesting to
Yep.
flirt with.
Good evening, ghouls and goyles.
Oh,
It's
boy.
time.
He's
Allow
the
me
character
to
archetype to make all the dad jokes.
regale you with a stories from places far and wide.
Okay, so John, why don't we have you make what I believe is the first roll of the campaign for a player?
Okay.
Why don't we have you make a performance check?
Have a performance check. Okay.
Kill it.
Somebody do me a favor and look up the rate to stay at an inn in D&D Beyond if you have it right there.
14 on that performance check.
14? Okay.
Yep.
So that beats an easy DC, doesn't quite get to the moderate DC.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the various costs to stay at an inn? I think it has, it's listed somewhere in the player's handbook, like, depending on if you want, squalid or poor, or it has different categories, I think.
Yeah.
I think modest is
Modest is like 1 gold or something, I thought.
Does anybody have
Modest
a-
is 1 gold. It's in their character creation sheet.
Yeah. I usually default to modest because it's easy.
Modest is a gold. Okay.
1 gold.
So John, we'll say that you can spend 5 silver instead of a gold.
Okay.
So you kind of get half off of a room because of your performance.
Oh,
I appreciate the thought, but how does that play into my actual background feature?
Which is what?
Entertainer.
What
can you
perks does
can
that give you?
Yeah, can you read what it is?
Yep. You can always find a place to perform, usually in an inn or tavern, but possibly with a circus, at a theater, or even in a noble's court. At such a place, you receive free lodging and food of a modest or comfortable standard, depending on the quality of the establishment, as long as you perform each night. In addition, your performances make you something of a local figure. When strangers recognize you in town where you have performed, they typically take a liking to you.
Okay, well then that I would say that would apply. It's like, the rules go from general to specific.
Specific. Mhm.
Yeah, so you get free room and board for the night because you performed. So there's really no rule necessary. But
It's
maybe
still
I
cool,
could-
though. Maybe.
It's still cool. I mean, if you roll really high, maybe I give you an extra bonus. But
Right.
oh. So Andy is a headliner.
I'm a party face, yeah.
so Andy gets free room and board. Everybody
Nice.
else has to pay.
That's fine. I'm singing it with the crowd. Everyone's singing.
Can I try to find someone that looks really rich?
Sure. Why don't you make a perception check for me, Sarah?
Perception. Here we go. That would be a 13, sir.
13. Okay, so that beats an easy DC. So I mean, I would say that the people that are here at the Ghoul's Sword Inn are not particularly affluent. Is that the word? Not particularly, rich. They don't have a lot of money. You don't really find anybody who looks that they stand out as being a very rich person.
Okay.
I mean, you can still flirt with anybody if you want, but
But nobody looks like they'd pay my room for the night.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it would depend on how good you would roll on a persuasion.
I don't know. While they're doing that, I'm talking with Z.
Yeah. Well,
Just
Z's getting buzzed.
So
she's
is
gonna
So's
try to
Erebus.
dance with Erebus and any other party member who wants to try to dance with her, which is awkward. And then she's
I'm
gonna
Groot.
try to pick out the biggest, strongest guy who's in the bar and see if people want to place bets. And she's gonna challenge him to arm wrestling.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
I thought you were going to fight. Well, there's still a chance.
You
I
stepped it back a bit.
I see leaves. Clouds.
Okay.
Debris flying by his head while he's saying slow-mo hit.
Erebus
So-
kind of ducks out of the way.
I mean, there are definitely some strong people that that live in White Province. You
Yeah.
have to kind of be hardy to be out here in this cold and ice. So you find somebody who's particularly large. We'll say a half orc.
Okay.
And you said you wanted to arm wrestle.
Sure. Yep. It'll be
Arm
fun.
wrestle?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So you find a table, and this half orc comes over and sits down and puts his elbow on the table. Clunk. Puts his hand up. And says, "Well, let's see what you got."
Let's see how we do. All right.
So let's make a contested strength check. Just roll and add your strength modifier.
Strength. That's athletics or just
Athletics, yeah.
Athletics. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Did I mention that's her neck? Okay.
Oh.
Ooh. All right.
So what was your total?
So that'll be a 25.
Oh, he got a 20.
Oh,
So so you struggle, and at the very beginning it seems like it's fairly even, and then slowly he starts to lose ground, and then eventually you do get the best of him and slam his fist down to the table.
Ignore that.
And he laughs. Well done, well done.
Thank you. You as well.
I have decided this guy's name is Crush.
Okay, Crush the Half Orc. Sounds like a good name to me.
Local nickname.
Let me make a note of that.
are we hanging out with Crush?
Crush
Apparently.
the Half Orc.
Oh, Z would completely invite him to come drink with us after. Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah, he's happy to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Erebus is down.
Yeah.
He's down to partay.
All right, is there anything else you want to do over the course of the evening here?
Drunken carousing and mayhem, you know.
I mean, I'm kind of stuck performing, so I can't really be doing much in the way of carousing. But
That's fine. That's totally fine.
keeping an ear open, I guess, for anything about the direction we're heading while I'm playing. It's about the only thing can think of to do.
So far, Ophelia told you the names of the towns, which I hadn't determined yet. So she told you you were going to what did Sarah just
Whitehole?
say? No. What was the name Sarah just gave me?
Oh,
Middleshard.
Nedishard.
Yeah, she told you you were going to Middleshard, and your next destination was insert name here.
TBA.
Oh.
To be decided.
Oh, see, I thought it was called Whitehole. Why did I think that?
You're a white hole.
Oh,
No, I'm a brown one, so there's a difference there.
that's a
The next
different
one is
region.
White Castle.
So you know where your next destination is.
Yeah,
and there's basically, even though it's largely snowing most of the time when you're in White Province, there are people that are traveling between the towns. So there's sort of like a loose road, a makeshift road that goes from people. Some of them use like dog sleds. Carriages really don't work very well through here. Some people have horses, but most people are on foot. So there are paths basically that like makeshift roads that kind of go from town to town. So you can continue on the path and go to the next town the next day without a whole lot of difficulty.
Okay. I'm mostly though what I'm listening for is A, I like listening for stories.
Okay.
But B, of course, I always keep my ear open for any trouble that might be brewing in the area. I mean, have people been coming in complaining about being attacked on the road? People saying that they just left this town and it was in shambles, that kind of thing.
Why don't you make when you make a perception check? I mean, this would be based on listening.
Pretty
I don't
much.
think you have anything that probably gives you a bonus to that. But if you want to make a perception check. We can see what happens.
Okay. Out of the box.
Out of the box.
Out of the box. 7. It's less than my passive, but I am actively making an attempt. So whether you want to go with that or my passive is up to you.
What's your passive perception?
12.
12. Okay. So you hear somebody talk about the fact that maybe about a couple of weeks ago that they thought that they saw the white dragon actually flying through the sky. I mean, again, there's so much snow and a lot of storms, a lot of windy storms and things that are always prevalent in White Province. So looking up into the sky and seeing anything in the middle of like a lot of snowstorms and snowballs is difficult. And it's a white dragon against the white sky.
Right.
But someone was pretty sure that they saw the white dragon a couple of weeks ago flying through the sky. That's about the only interesting thing that you pick up with the 12.
Okay. I don't know. Much to follow up on.
Yeah.
I kind of can't at the moment until I take a break. So I'll let that go for now.
Okay.
Just
So you
take it
guys
back in my mind.
go through your evening. You have a lot of fun. You hang out with Crush the half orc. And is there anything in particular that you want to do before setting out on your second day of travel to the second town, which does not technically have a name yet?
What is the layout of the town? Do we know if there's like shops and that kind of stuff, or is it like small that it really doesn't have a whole lot of establishments?
It's pretty small. I mean, this is really the only inn in town is where you're staying right now. They typically have shops that sell cold weather gear and things that are appropriate to the region. There are homes that are just right outside, sort of circling the middle of the town. But there's like a very small sort of town center where the inn is, and there's a couple of shops. There's not much more than that. Are you looking for something specific?
I was just trying to think if there was like a shop that might sell, items like swords and that kind of stuff. Weapons.
Yeah. There is basically there is a business. There's basically a shop that sells cold weather gear, and if you go in there and you look around, they have a couple of basic items. They have like a shield. They have a couple of basic swords. I mean, they're not really outfitted with like a lot of weapons. But what kind of weapon are you looking for?
Well, since you say it that way, Erebus has, I think, what he needs. Maybe he might be looking for something particular. If it doesn't sound like that's the case there, because it's a smaller selection, then he probably wouldn't be interested in looking.
So he's window shopping.
Yes.
That's fine. I mean, you'd have better luck finding weapons and stuff like that back in Shakar. And just as a reminder, if you guys want to make your magic item wish list at some point with, like, I would say anywhere from 1 to 3 items in it, and if you wanted to stick it in your character in D&D Beyond, I try to review the characters before each session, and I'll go into your characters and I'll kind of maybe review your backstory, maybe look at some of your class features, see what you can do, and if you have your magic item wish list in your notes section somewhere, I can take a look at that and see if I can work it in.
How greedy can we be with that wish list? Like, are we talking like rare and artifact level stuff?
Deck of many things.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends. You can give me things that are vague, like you can say, like, magic sword. If I just saw magic sword, I would assume you wanted like a +1 sword. If you said I wanted something that had an ability to help with my perception, and you didn't say what kind of item it was, then I would make up, an amulet or a ring, or I would look for something in D&D Beyond that would accomplish that. I probably wouldn't say, like, I want to find like the sword of the Nazgul, or something like that. Like, I wouldn't ask for specific named artifacts because you're first level. But if you were to say like a sword of great power that can heal, then I could
I can heal everybody by hitting them with my sword.
So if we add that in the other tab, that's okay? Under notes?
Yeah.
I don't really know what's available.
Yeah, it has other
Sure, other
enemies.
is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to put it under other and just put like magic item wish list and then put a couple of things in there,
Okay.
that would be fine.
Sorry,
But
I was
yeah.
at the end of the backstory.
If you go into the note section in D&D Beyond,
Sure.
Greg said there's a place called Other.
Yeah, it's like right under
Yeah.
the backstory.
Yeah, I have a bunch of my spells printed in there for quick reference, but yes, yeah. Okay.
I mean,
guess that's
as long as it's somewhere in D&D
Yeah.
Beyond that I can take a quick glance at,
Sure, I can
that's
do
fine. I will do my best to try to accommodate requests. I just wouldn't ask for named hugely powerful artifacts because you're all first level.
I want to break your campaign.
No sort of cast.
But because this is a shorter, more story-focused campaign rather than being a little more open-world sandbox, I want to be able to try to fit some of this stuff in. You probably won't get to very high levels, so you're not going to be getting artifacts that are, like John said, they're going to break the game. So I don't want to
Right.
do that. So are we ready to move on to the next day? Are people good?
Let's move on as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Okay.
So you set out on your second day of travel. Kate,
Yes.
I would like you to describe an event that happens during this day of travel. And it can't be like a dragon flies down and gives me an artifact. But I would like you to
Why not?
I would like you to describe something. I mean, it can be like, I saw a deer.
Oh.
That can be the extent of it. It can be something a little bigger and more interesting than that. But just, don't like add a whole new villain to the game or something. Just do me a favor and just describe something simple but also interesting that occurs as you're traveling to this second town on your second day of travel through a lot of snow and wind and etc.
I would say maybe don't get into a fight, but as we're traveling, like in the distance, we hear something moving or wrestling, like maybe like way far in the distance, and basically from a distance, see some kind of like wondrous ice-based creature, like an ice worm or something, like pops out of the ground, and like we see it way far away. It doesn't notice us. No fight, no conflict or anything, but just
something
there,
cool we
kind
saw.
of grit our teeth, watch it carefully, watch it, kind of do its wormy thing, and then go back under the ice and
Okay.
disappear. So a
Okay.
bit of nature walking. She's proficient in nature. She would think that was cool.
So as you're traveling, you do see off in the distance. It's hard to make out with like the almost constant snow and wind, but the first thing that you notice is that you feel kind of a rumbling, and it's not intense. It's very subtle, but it does draw your attention, and you see off in the distance, sort of in between the gusts of wind and the gales of snow and things, you see like a large snowy worm creature that comes up out of the ground under like a bunch of these herd animals that are out there, and basically comes up and eats one of these creatures, and then and scatters the rest of the animals, and then dives back down into the snow, and it's there very quickly. It eats, and then it's gone, and then you continue on your way. But that's cool. Thank you for
There's
that.
a whole network of tunnels down there.
Yep.
Secret tunnel. Secret tunnel.
Through the ice field. Secret tunnel.
I'm going to put him on mute.
I like fun, and even I know that's a bad idea.
Okay, so about an hour after sundown, you arrive at the second small town that Ophelia gave you the name of, but we will now have John actually name this town. I'm kind of afraid.
Give me a general description of the town. Is it a large town, little hamlet, just kind of in the middle of a field of...
I would say that this town is a little bit bigger than the one that you were just in. Like let's say that, let's say that Middle Shard was maybe, we'll say Middle Shard was maybe like 400 people in this little town. We'll say that this town that you're about to name has maybe closer to 1,000 people. It has a little bit larger population, a few more businesses. We'll say it's about 1,000 people.
Okay.
A little bit bigger than Middle Shard.
Okay. So, and it's just sprawled houses, no walls, or
No, it's not walled. It doesn't have any particular. Well, let me see. We'll say that this town actually has. Strangely, it has some kind of tree cover to it, whereas a lot of what you're seeing is just wide, flat, open ice and snow, and lots of wind. We'll say as you approach this place, it actually sort of seems to be almost like ringed by like pine trees. You know, evergreen trees surround this town. So that's sort of like the feature that stands out, especially given that most of what you see is just plain flat snow and ice.
Rimewood Village.
Rimewood Village. Cool. I like it. So Ophelia told you that the second town was Rimewood Village, and you arrived there a little after sundown, and you moved through the outer ring of trees. And what is your plan while you're here? Is it the same as before, like find a place to stay the night, that kind of a thing?
Well, tomorrow our third day is tomorrow.
Correct.
Where we're expected to at least approach our destination.
The ice pit, right?
So before we settle in, I guess I'm going to see if I can do a little carousing at wherever people get together, probably at the inn in this cold climate, and see if I can find any information on a so-called giant ice pit.
Okay. So you are staying. I'm going to look at my roll and play press book here, and you are staying at. It's cocked. You were staying at the Chick and Griffin.
Chick and Griffin. That's not
The Chick
too bad,
and
actually.
Griffin Tavern. Chick.
Is this a two-tavern town?
And
The logo is strangely a rooster and a griffin combined together.
Chick and Griffin Inn. Okay. Let's see. Why don't you do?
So Z would actually be helping you on this. I was thinking the same thing as you were saying, and Andy.
Trying to get
Okay, you want to help?
Yeah,
Okay.
trying to help you just kind of listen around, not make too big of a fuss about it. But
So right now you're just listening.
well, I mean, are you investigating or are you?
No, I'm actually, carousing, schmoozing up people, trying to actively get information.
And I'll
on
just be
this.
kind of like listening, see if does someone react to him asking questions and like
Okay,
duck out of the door.
Do you want to make a persuasion?
Persuasion.
Persuasion
Okay.
check?
I can
Or,
do a persuasion check.
I mean, if you want to use performance to say that you don't have to necessarily be singing when you're talking to people, but if you want to say that's part of your demeanor, part of your natural way with people, I will say you could use performance or persuasion.
I appreciate that, but in this case, I will go ahead with persuasion.
Okay.
22.
22.
That's my knack.
Okay. So you ask around, and no one has any idea what. I mean, nobody has heard of anything that has anything to do with an excavated pit. It strikes you a little odd that if it's somewhere in the area that somebody wouldn't know about it, but nobody has any idea. They've never heard of anything like what you're describing? Or I mean, do you describe it, or do you just sort of poke and prod about general rumors? Do you mention it specifically?
I would. Yeah, I might as well. I see no reason not to at this point.
So
I don't think it's some big secret.
Right, but it does appear to you, though, that strangely you mentioned to a bunch of people, and like they have no idea what you're talking about. They have never heard of anything like this.
Huh.
Especially like if you give them the general bearing, the southwest bearing from the place from the town that you're in, they all tell you that there's nothing out there.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Curious.
I may have to have a talk with my employer on this one. Something on a wild goose chase.
Do we believe them? There's the that's Z's style would be to in her like being goofy, drunk, acting crazy, but then she's secretly kind of keeping an eye on everything. So if someone's doing something sketch or like reacting to him asking those questions,
Okay,
that's the kind of
what is Andy and Z's passive perceptions? Andy was 12.
Mine's 12. Yeah.
Z's passive is 14.
Is 14. Okay. I will say that during the time that you spent talking to people about this pit, it does seem odd that nobody has heard of it. And I will say that Z, since you have the highest passive perception of the two of you, I will say that let's say you talk to maybe like about a dozen people, and I would say that you get the sense from most of them that they genuinely don't know what Andy is talking about. But you get a sense from two of them, two separate individuals, that maybe they're not being entirely truthful. They basically give you the same line that everybody else does, which is, I've never seen anything. I don't really travel out that way. No one's ever talked about it. But you get the sense from two of the people that maybe they're not being entirely truthful.
She's got everybody at the table, like somewhere separate after he kind of asks his question. She's just gonna quietly say, I think those two know something.
You think so, huh?
Yep.
Are we all in the same place?
I would assume so.
Unless you wanted to go walk around the town.
You're all at the Chick and Griffin Tavern, or inn.
Oh, okay.
Chick
I'm probably
Griffin Inn.
drinking. That's why I don't know what's going on.
Okay. This is going to be an interesting
Chicken
party.
Griffin in
Everybody's
Tavern.
drunk.
That's a mouthful.
And as per usual, John, Andy can get free room and board for the night for
Okay,
performing.
if I perform,
If you perform.
I'll get to that in a little bit.
Z might try to challenge one or both of the two who seemed like they knew something to a drinking game. She thinks that she could outdrink them, and maybe she hopes that their lips would loosen a bit if they attempt to keep up with her.
This is going to be fun.
Okay. So I will say that one of the two has zero interest in doing anything of that sort. They seem they give you sort of a line about being very busy, and they have other things they have to do. The other person we'll say a dwarven woman. We'll say is
I have an NPC dice.
what is your NPC dice do, John?
I can roll for
Race.
race.
And class.
I can roll for race and class and a quirk.
Oh.
Okay. Tell me what the name of that dice set is.
Oh, it is the Scrying Stones from DM Scenario Dice.
All right.
They sponsor us.
From? There you go.
Why don't you roll us up an NPC,
From
John?
Stratagem. Okay. Let's see.
By stratagem?
By Stratagem, yes.
Strategery.
It only has the 6 basic races, but it is an elf who is a. Okay, Quirk dice. Okay, this is the
This is
job
an elf.
dice.
Okay.
Hunter, who is really loud.
Elf hunter is very loud.
That's
Yeah.
my kind of woman.
Someone to keep up with Z. Ah. You can see how this got started.
I'm like wicked hype. I don't even know why.
Erebus is just watching these crazy women in his party.
Yes. He's drinking with a smile on his face.
Okay, so I'm going to use the Game Master's Toolkit, and I'm going to roll a magical name, since elves will probably want something very interesting. So this elf's name is Thundry.
Thundrin?
Thundry.
Thundrin.
Thundry.
Thundri.
Okay.
Country.
So that's Thundry talking to a fun tree. Got it.
Ah!
Sigh.
So
Oh my god. Am I
So-
gonna be the? I think I'm gonna be the wet blanket in this campaign. I don't know how I feel about this.
I'm used to being stodgy, but I'm feeling quite free. I don't even know why.
So let's see. So Thundry, the female elf hunter, was very loud. You wanted to challenge them to a drinking game, Kate? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I would gladly like to challenge you to a drinking game. So why don't we roll? What can we roll?
Is it Constitution?
Constitution?
Definitely Constitution. I'm thinking.
Okay.
Why don't we do Constitution saving throw?
Okay.
Constitution save.
Best out of 5. How about that?
Okay,
Best out of 5. Okay.
best out of 5. Okay.
Alrighty.
Opposed checks? Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do the first one.
Okay. Aww.
I also got aw.
She rolled a 3.
Okay.
She rolled a 1.
Okay. Well, Thundry got a 5.
Okay. That dice is fired.
So
You have
first-
a inspiration dice.
Right? Believe me, she's holding that in her pocket. So best out of 5, huh?
Yep. So the first one goes to Thundry,
Okay.
and she laughs. Ha 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 ha! Can't take your alcohol. And then,
Someone
Alright.
tap that tree.
Alright, so.
Oh, excuse me.
Alright. Let's see here.
okay. What'd you
So
get
the-
on the second one?
I got an 18.
Also 18.
Ooh.
Oh.
Roll off.
So rollies?
Rollies.
Is it rollies? or?
Well, let's see. Thunder got the first one, and then let's just call the second one a wash because you both were able to do okay on that one.
Okay.
You're both pounding them quite appropriately.
Let's move on to the third mug of alcohol.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
Not great. Not good.
What'd you got?
It's not going well. That'll be a 6.
Okay, 15.
Okay.
That's a loss. No, because we got
Okay.
one wash.
Okay.
So
So, yeah, but I mean, if she gets 3, she wins. So I
Yep.
am going to burn my inspiration on it.
Thunder says, "Ha, you're going down. I'm gonna beat you."
Erebus inches closer to
Alright.
their
if you win
arena.
both the last ones, you could still pull out a win.
All right. Well,
Here we go.
inspiration on this.
Inspiration on this one. Okay.
Okay. Whoa. There we go. 20 on one of them. All right. So 22.
22, 17.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so she starts to waver a little bit. Her eyes are looking
Okay.
a little bit funky.
right. Well, there's no more inspiration left. So here we go. 5th round.
Hang on.
So it's 2 and 2.
I wonder. Hang on.
Oh, could you give her something?
Maybe.
Are we gonna choose this?
Cheese away.
Since the crowd, I assume, is at this point kind of getting worked up over this.
Yes, there was a crowd
This
that
very
gathered
subtle
around.
7-foot tree and this very loud, atypical elf. What?
So I weave into my entertaining a bit of encouragement for
Z.
Z. And so you get a bardic inspiration, which gives you a D6 on any ability check, roll, or attack roll, or saving throw.
Okay.
Ooh,
Wow.
delicious.
Let's see.
Okay, so you're both starting to feel the effects here. You're both maintaining your composure.
All right.
And here we go for the last roll.
Here we go. All right. 18. So that's 20.
She got 10. So she says, "Oh, that was a good contest."
That's a tie between them.
You did so well.
Two wins, two.
I mean, the whole win or
wins each and a
lose,
draw.
her goal was to get her engaged and to get her drunk.
That's true. That's true.
So
You're
that
right.
was.
So you're both a little snockered.
See the next day if I'm still hungover or not.
Yeah, but I mean, your goal in the drinking contest was to try to get. You wanted to get more information. Is that right?
I wanted to see if she would loosen up about this pit thing that I suspect she knows something about, even though she didn't say she knew something about it.
Okay. So she's kind of like. She's moved her chair over to your side of the table, and is kind of like leaning on you. You're not sure if she's being affectionate or if she's just trying to stabilize herself.
Give her a big old tree hug, right?
Yeah, and you try to press her a little bit on the information about the excavated pit, and she's like, yeah, there's something out there. Typically, people don't come back, so we kind of don't bother going there. Because when they do come through and they say they're going there, we don't see them again.
You make a great drunk elf, Chris.
That's fun.
A loud drunk elf.
Nobody goes there.
There you go.
Nobody ever goes there. They don't come back.
That's the loudness I was
Tavern's
looking
like,
for.
you're not supposed to say anything.
No, they come back.
So there are people around that are like staring over there because she's so loud. And then she gets really quiet. She goes, "I wouldn't go there."
You're a good friend.
Be
Thank
careful!
Did someone go over there and knock her out?
I think
you.
time will
She's
do
probably
that.
gonna pass that on the table.
She gets up and kind of staggers through the front door
Okay.
of the Chicken Griffin Inn. Is that what it was?
Yes. Chicken Griffin. Yes.
Chick
Chicken
and
Griffin.
Not chicken Griffin.
Well, that was the logo I made up in my head. So it's a chicken combined with a
So
griffin.
that's it now.
So Erebus goes over and claps Z on the shoulder and says, "Well done. I didn't think you were gonna make it,
Yeah.
but
Does she
Get
have
me
a
a-
shoulder or a bow?
Right.
I don't know.
So John, is Andy performing for Room and Board?
Andy will be performing tonight.
Okay.
For your listening pleasure.
Okay, did Z
Can I
use?
help?
Here's Wonderwall.
Okay, did Z use that bardic inspiration on that last one, or second to last one?
She did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She rolled on the one where she rolled a 20. She used the inspiration.
Okay, that's cool. I was just curious because sometimes it helps, and in this case, it
Yes.
sounds like it
I
did.
rolled a 6 on the inspiration die. It absolutely made a difference. Yes. So
Awesome.
Thank you, Bard.
Andy's support and rousing performance.
Yes.
He was getting into it. Started with you, and then sort of moved it out to the entire populace of the room.
Okay.
I have expertise in performance. Could I join Andy in his performance tonight?
Sure. If you wanna have one of you make a roll with advantage on performance.
You go ahead and roll it, because strangely enough, I don't actually have expertise in it yet.
Well, why don't you roll an Aqua, Sarah? Roll performance with advantage.
Z can play flute, but I don't know if she's gonna. She might think it's fun to join you, but if you let her, that might hurt you rather than help you.
I'm carrying.
25.
Nice.
25.
I'm carrying a flute.
19 on the dice.
Okay. So it doesn't take long before the entire room full of people is singing along with Aqua and Andy.
I'm shiny.
Yeah.
Yes,
Shiny.
the
Just to
halfling
seem a
and the
little-
6-foot chardling.
Yeah, to set the scene a little, my chosen instruments that I carry with me are the lyre and the flute.
Okay.
So the lyre is mostly what I play, but I
is
have a flute.
proficient.
Somebody wants to borrow it.
She's proficient in flute. I figured that was appropriate for a tree. She could probably make one from her own branches if she wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll say that the rest of you get free room aboard as well.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
Good job. Thank you, friends. You guys are great.
Best night these people have had in a year.
Stepping up a tree, like staggering around the room a little bit.
Well,
I mean, I'm basically a walking disco ball, so.
Right.
Okay. So are we good to move to day 3?
That
I
sounds
think
like a
so.
good night for me.
Yeah.
I'll
I
go
think
ahead and
so.
get my long rest to get my
Yeah,
inspiration
get
back.
inspiration.
And
Okay.
Did you use your inspiration? Did I miss that?
I gave it to you.
You gave me bardic inspiration. You
Yeah, and I only
use
got 3 per long rest.
He's
Oh,
talking
but-
about his bardic inspiration.
I thought you were
back.
talking about your inspiration.
Oh, no,
which
sorry.
We also get back every long rest, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh man, I had rolls
Confusing
yesterday. I should have
terms.
thought to use it."
Overloaded terms.
Sure, we have this inspiration thing that we get more now, and I need to think to use it because it's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, that's right. We do get it back every long rest.
Yes, we
You do.
That's right.
That was to
That's why-
encourage us to actually use them.
Yes.
So I thought you were going to be really cheesy
Yes,
and give me your
exactly,
inspiration to give me.
oh, see, that's what I thought he did. He didn't use his inspiration. He
I
uses
think
the
you can only
bardic
give it to
one.
somebody if you get at the point you get one and you already have one.
I'm sure it works. That's
I don't think you can just
Now
hand
I'm
over an
curious.
inspiration
Maybe.
that you're holding on to.
No, I would say both. I would say if you have it and you gain it, you can give it to somebody else. But I would say that if like 3 out of the 4 of you have used your inspiration, and somebody that has it left wants to give it to somebody else, I would allow that. I don't see any reason why. I don't think that's going to be game breaking.
Okay,
That's
we'll
cool.
roll with that then.
I mean,
Thank you.
especially since we said that we have to announce we're using it beforehand.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, oh, you rolled crappy, let me give it to you.
Right.
You know?
So you have to do it ahead of time. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Okay. So you set out on your 3rd day, and you basically head southwest from the town that you're in, which was Rhymewood Village. So you head southwest out of the town, out of the village, and let's see. So I would say somewhere around midday. I mean, the snow is blowing pretty hard. It's pretty heavy, and you know you're moving off into the snowstorm, and all you have is a bearing from Ophelia of which direction to go. So it's a little disconcerting because you've traveled for half a day through a snowstorm. You know there's no town directly ahead of you, but you have plenty of gear with you. And around midday, as you're moving through the storm, a hand bursts forth from the snow at your feet.
Oh.
Then another hand, then another. And then shambling undead that are partially frozen stand up from the snow and
Nice.
attack.
Oh, darn.
So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the session right there.
Oh, no.
Oh, not even a fight. Cliffhanger.
Jeez. Jeez
Um,
Louise.
And what I would like to do is there's this idea that I picked up on recently. There's something called stars and wishes that I would like to do at the end of each of these sessions. And essentially, it's the DM asking for feedback on things. Stars are something that you liked in the session. Examples could include things like really good role play, great character moments, good descriptions by players or GMs or DMs, maybe the feeling you had at a certain moment, somebody else's generosity, a mechanic of the system that really worked out well or sang during the session. So essentially, stars is just something that you liked. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be about anyone or anything, just something that you liked. And then wishes would be something that you maybe would like to see in the future. Examples could include something like, you want something particular. You're hoping that something eventually will happen with your character in a certain way. Maybe an interaction you'd like to see between a couple of characters. Maybe a mechanic you would like to see come into play that you haven't seen yet. Places maybe you're hoping that the story might go. It's pretty much like, what did you like and what would you like to see? Stars are what you liked, wishes are what you would like to see. So I'm going to try to use this feedback at the end of every session to kind of maybe curtail future adventures. So right now I would like to do stars and wishes with each of you before we end on this cliffhanger where you're being attacked by snow zombies.
Okay.
So Greg, what was something that you liked? It can be anything.
I actually thought it was pretty cool with having the towns being named by us, as well as the guy at the bar, Mr. Crush. I think that's pretty cool, being able to take our input directly and do something with it at hand versus maybe something where in your story per se, you have something going on that shows up later. So it's an immediate effect versus a long-term effect.
Sure. Is there any wishes that you have for the future?
I don't think I have anything, only because we're just starting here.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to give me any answers of any kind if you don't want to. I just want to put this out there. And if everybody's like, no, I don't have any stars and wishes this time, I'll be like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't have any wishes at this time.
John, do you have any stars and or wishes?
Honestly, my sentiments pretty much echo Greg's. Star for your world building technique. It's certainly a lot more inclusive and emphasizes the cooperative nature of what we're doing. Making me throw my dice around all over the place. But it's just a little bit too early for me to have any particular improvement wishes at this point.
Okay. Kate, what about you? Stars and or wishes?
I mean, I'll echo everybody. I really like the interactive world building that we're doing. I'm having a blast playing a different archetype than my characters usually are. And then it's not much for wishes. If any part of my backstory ends up coming into play, because I know you have limited real estate for that, I hope it's the sage mentors, because I think that A, they're fun, and B, they may be a potentially useful tool to help us with our end goal as a party. So
something about your sage.
The sage mentors. Yeah, I put a bit on them to give them names and characterizations at the bottom of my backstory.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
All right. Sarah, do you have any stars and wishes?
Stars. I love that Kate is being a wild person and that Greg is embracing also kind of being a little more out there than he has been in the past. I really enjoyed their role play today. So I applaud you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Wishes. I want to see our halfling get a piggyback ride from our tree.
Yes! That's going to be their new mode of travel. Has it already been happening? Has he already been riding on her shoulder?
Well, it's a little early yet. We've only known each other for like 2 days. So.
It's true. You've only met a couple days ago.
And I love the fact that we're already talking about basically making a traveling band.
We're almost going in that direction.
That could be really fun too. So those are my wishes.
Okay, cool. Do people like the idea of doing stars and wishes at the end of each adventure?
I think that's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at least
mean-
every few adventures, but I'm okay with every adventure too. It's fun.
Okay.
I mean, when I was
People
when I was
don't have
DMing,
that.
that's something that I actually kind of wish that I had done.
What are
I
your
tried to do
stars and
something a little.
wishes?
Yeah.
It's true. What are the DM star and wishes?
Well, I was really looking forward to the idea of doing the cooperative, sort of collaborative world building. I was looking forward to that. I was looking forward to using, random tables to create some of the world building as well. I mean, just like all of you, like this addition of more improvised world building and collaborative world building, I'm really happy with the way that it performed, and the fact that everybody is echoing that idea makes me feel really good. So I'm going to continue to move forward with this because we all seem to love it. Wishes, again, I think I echo the idea that I don't know that I have anything particularly right now. I mean, I would like to be able to try to include people's backstories in some way. That's one of the things where, I talked about in session 0 how Spacefarers went 2 years and 8 months, and there was all this time to go through people's backstories, pull out stuff, put it in an adventure, and there was plenty of time. Whereas now, I have sort of a general idea of what the beats throughout the campaign are going to be. And I want to go through and have a complete story and then let somebody else run. So I like using backstories, and knowing that I may have a harder time fitting them in this campaign is a challenge. So I guess one of my wishes would be that I can find a way to incorporate some part of people's backgrounds without it stretching the campaign out like 10 more adventures than I wanted it to be, but still make people feel like, oh, that was a part of my backstory. I want to see if I can find a good balance with that. So
He's thinking about me.
we'll see if I can accomplish that. And by the end of the campaign, if people tell me like, one of my wishes for the campaign was that I had more of my backstory included, then I will make a note of that and try to do better next time. But that is my wish right now, is to try to include some element of people's backstories in the adventures that doesn't make the campaign go 2 years and 8 months.
What?
Was that a little bit hard on you, Chris?
No. I mean, I do think that DMs reach a certain point of fatigue after a while, and that was the longest campaign that I ever ran. And I never really felt like, it was really bad. I just like, probably as I started to go over 2 years, I was like, I would like to kind of complete the story at some point in the near future.
I want to move on.
Yeah.
I'm very tired of Strax.
Sick and tired of John's character.
Well, I will say that at least in my backstory, I tried to make it so that it wasn't, there was a central thing that was involved in it, and not like a multitude of different things.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm glad people didn't write like a 10-page backstory, because there'd be no way I'd be able to do that. But okay, great. So
I certainly didn't.
Are we leveling this adventure, by the way?
yes, you are all second.
Ooh.
You're all second level.
Really?
Yes.
Yay.
We go into
Going
a fight.
into the fight.
Yes.
Nice.
Wait,
Oh, do
before
we
or
have to
after the
roll
fight?
dice?
Yeah, are
dices?
you gonna say that we leveled as of like the long rest overnight for the sake of people who have spells and stuff like that, or not that that's me, but
Well, I had planned on having you guys. I mean, I had hoped that we would get through the fight. But why don't we? Would people be okay with staying first level until after the fight?
I'm good with that. Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
All
we
right.
could we take a break and do the leveling mid-adventure next time.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to get the average hit points for your level. I would probably look at your character and try to decide before next session, which will be 2 weeks from now. Try to decide what your choices are going to be, so we don't have to eat up a lot of our time with you guys trying to figure out what you want at that level.
Oh, I've already got my character plant all the way out to level 20. Even though I know we're not
That's
going to get that
just
far.
John.
Okay, so think about your choices for your second
I
level.
mean, level
character.
2 for. We don't need this on the podcast.
Okay.
She basically gets key, so this makes a difference in
So,
whether or not she gets key.
I just get action surge.
So let's
I just
say
get an ability score ability too. So
Let's say goodnight to the listeners.
Good night.
Good
everybody.
night.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review anywhere this podcast can be found. Our social media links, plus additional content, can be found on our website at knightsofroleplay.com. Please tell your friends about Knights of Roleplay, an adventuring podcast, and spread the word through social media. Your help and support are greatly appreciated.